Good day and welcome back. Today we are going to look at common fractions, the multiplication thereof, and multiplication of whole numbers and mixed numbers. When we start with multiplication with common fractions, we need to remember that a common fraction is also a division problem. 3/4 is also equal to 3 divided by 4. Therefore, when we look at multiplication with fractions, it is actually division and multiplication. If you look at 3/4 times 2/3, it can be written as 3 divided by 4 multiplied by 2 divided by 3. Now, if you press that into your calculators, your answer will be 0,5. And as we know, 0,5 is a half, or 6/12. But grade 7s, you are not allowed to do your common fractions in an exam or a test with your calculators. You're allowed to check your answers, but you're not allowed to use it. We want to see your steps, and therefore I'm going to show you a simpler way of doing it. You simply multiply your numerators with each other and your denominators, as I did here. 3 times 2 over 4 times 3. 3 times 2 is 6, and 4 times 3 is 12. 6/12. There's my 6/12. Remember, with fractions, your answer should always be in the simplest form, and 6/12 is not it. So let's find a common factor, and the highest common factor of 6 and 12 is 6. So 6 divided by 6 is 1, and 12 divided by 6 is 2. And there is your final answer. Let's look at a few more problems. 5 6s times 4 8s. 5 times 4 is 20, and 6 times 8 is 48. Now, if this were a test, you would have lost a mark. Why? This is not in its simplest form. So let's see if we can find some common factors. Yes, 4 is a common factor of both. So 20 divided by 4 is 5, and 48 divided by 4 is 12. So my final answer should have been 5/12. Let's see if I do better in the next one. 3/5 times 10/15. 3 times 10 is 30. 5 times 15 is 75. Is this the simplest form? No, let's simplify. The highest common factor will be 15. 30 divided by 15 is 2. And 75 divided by 15 is 5. So my final answer is 2/5. There is, however, a simpler way to do it in order not to deal with such big numbers. We find factors before we multiply. Very important when you do this, you need to find factors across, like the multiplication, or in the same fraction with the numerator and the denominator. I cannot look at the denominators and the numerators to find factors. I need to go across or do it in the same fraction. Here I went across and I found 3 and 15 have a common factor of 3, and 3 divided by 3 is 1, and 15 divided by 3 is 5. But then I saw I still have some more factors. 5 and 10 have a common factor of 5, and 5 divided by 5 is 1, and 10 divided by 5 is 2. Now I just multiply. 1 times 2 is 2, and 1 times 5 is 5. And there I also have 2/5. Moving on to multiplication of mixed numbers. Very important here is before you multiply mixed numbers, you need to change it to improper fractions. You cannot just multiply mixed numbers. So let's have a look here. As it is written here, can I multiply it? No, I need to change it to mixed numbers improper fractions first. Sorry about that. How do I do that again? I say 5 times 4, which is my denominator, plus my numerator I already have. I also need to change my second mixed number, and if there was a third or a fourth or how many more, I need to change all of them. So 2 times 3 plus the 2 I already have. Let's continue. Do you see here I did it? Here's my whole number times my denominator, add my numerator, and it is still over my denominator. It's my whole number times my denominator, adding my numerator that I already have, and it's still over 3, which was my denominator. Then 5 times 4 is 20, plus 1 is 21. 2 times 3 is 6, plus 2 is 8. So I have 21 quarters and 8 thirds. As you can see, these numbers are getting big. So let's start looking at factors. 4 and 8. Do you see that it is a cross? So I can find factors there. It has a common factor of 4. So 4 divided by 4 is 1. And 8 divided by 4 is 2. Then 21 and 3 is a cross, so I can find factors. 21 divided by 3 will give me 7. And 3 divided by 3 will give me 1. And there we wrote it. 7 over 1 times 2 over 1. Now I simply multiply. 7 times 2 will give me 14. 1 times 1 will remain 1. And any number over 1, because remember this is a division sum, and anything divided by 1 will remain the same. So this is actually just 7 times 2, and that will give me 14. Let's look at another example. 7 and 4, 6 times 12 and a half. I took my whole number, I multiplied it with my denominator, I add my numerator. I took my whole number, I multiplied with my denominator, and I added my numerator, and my denominators remained the same. 7 times 6 is 42, plus my 4 is 46 over 6. 12 times 2 is 24, plus 1 is 25. Now the only common factors I have here is 46 and 2, and 46 divided by 2 will give me 23. So I have 23 over 6 times 25 over 1. So no getting away here. You have to multiply 23 with 25, which will give you 575 over 6. But remember, we started out with mixed numbers, so we must end with mixed numbers. Then I divide 575 with 6, which will give me 95 and 5 sixths. So that is my final answer. Then we are moving on to fractions of a whole. Now, when we do word problems, sometimes you will read the word of. And that actually means to multiply. So the moment you hear of in maths, you multiply. So what is a quarter of 200? I will say a quarter times 200 over 1. Why did I put it over 1? 200 divided by 1 is still 200. So it changes nothing of its value. But now I know the 1 must be multiplied with the 200 and the 4 with the 1, and I won't make the mistake of multiplying the 200 with the 4 by accident. So let's see if we can find common factors. Yes, they are both divisible by 4 if I go across. 4 divided by 4 is 1, and 200 divided by 4 is 50. So my final answer is 50. Now let's have a look. If I count in 50s, 50, 100, 150, 200. So yes, there are 4 50s in 200. And a quarter is 50. Let's look at another example. 2/5 of 125. Remember again, I take my whole number and I write it over 1. Let's see for common factors. Here's 5 and 125. Share 5 as a factor. 5 divided by 5 is 1. And 125 divided by 5 is 25. Now I still need to multiply them out. 2 times 25 is 50. 1 times 1 remains 1. And my answer is 50. So 2/5 of 125 will be 50. Now let's look at our last example. 3/7 of 25. Once again, I put my whole number over 1 and I multiply out. Do you see? There's no common factors here. So I just need to multiply them out. 3 times 25 will be 75 and 7 times 1 will be 7. Then I need to divide so that I can end up in my simplest form. 75 divided by 7 is 10. But then I'm left with this 5 over 7. So my final answer is 10 and 5/7. So let's quickly recap. When we multiply fractions, we multiply our numerators with each other and our denominators with each other. And when we multiply mixed numbers, we first need to change them to improper fractions. Search for factors and multiply out. Whenever we hear the word off, we know we need to multiply. Stay safe. I hope this helped you, and tune in again next time when we will be looking at dividing of fractions.